Hey, it's Dan Morales, and this is Homebuyer Radio. This week, I brought in one of my competitors, man. Go figure, right?
Yeah.
But I brought Brad Stinson in with me. Brad is a local mortgage professional like myself, and he's the VA home loan expert, right?
Correct.
All right.
We're not competitors. Iron sharpens iron, man.
Amen, brother. But Brad is a good guy. We kind of met each other online, and he's been pretty active in trying to be an advocate for veterans, and I love that. And so what I wanted to do is, I wanted to take some time to have him come in and maybe for us to chat for a quick second about VA home loans. I've done some episodes about that in the past, but you recently did a video. That had to do with origination fees and limits to what a vet can pay as far as costs and stuff like that. So I'm going to put you on the line here, man. Share some of what you shared in that video.
Well, yes, it does all tie into the origination fee. Now, the VA home loan program lumps everything into what's called an origination fee. All right, and there's two different ways in which a lender can charge that origination fee. The first one, and the one that everybody has all been familiar with, is the 1% flat method, or as I like to call it, the one shot, one kill. That fee is meant to be an all-encompassing fee, so the veteran is charged 1% of the loan origination, or the loan amount, and therefore he or she cannot pay for any other fees. One shot, one kill. The other method, in which I challenge everybody listening to this video right now, is if your veteran client is being charged that 1% flat origination charge, to speak to another lender, because there is another method in which it's called the collective method, meaning that a veteran can be charged a collective amount of up to 1% of all fees, and that's where a VA offer becomes more competitive.
Yeah, because what happens with that 1% origination fee, you have a lot of lenders that will charge that 1% origination fee, and it's almost excessive, right?
Correct.
Versus that collective method that Brad's talking about. The collective method is you're really just paying for the cost or fees that you should be paying for, where a lot of times you get some of these big national lenders where they charge a 1% origination fee across the board, and the overall cost to the vet ends up being far more than what it needs to be. I think your companies like ours, we don't do that.
Correct.
We charge the collective method, and almost always those collective fees are going to be way less than the 1%.
Correct. I mean, for my company, we charge $900. So for a $200,000 home loan, I'm charging the veteran $900 to do a loan. I'm not charging them $2,000.
Yeah.
Right. So that leaves $1,100 left over for the veteran to help pay for these fees. Air quotes.
Yeah,
that are there.
Yeah, and they're typically not anywhere close to the $1,100, right? So that cumulative total ends up being far less than that 1% typically. So I think what happens is a lot of times vets don't know, and a lot of times realtors don't know. There's a lot of myths when it comes to VA home loans. You and I both did, the military mortgage boot camp stuff. And, one of the big things they spend a lot of time on is, breaking myths that are tied to
Correct.
the VA home loans, right? This 1% deal is one of them, right? Like, I think a lot of times people feel like they have to pay this 1% origination fee because that's what everybody charges, not knowing if there's another way to do this that's actually far better for them.
Correct. Rule number one when dealing with veterans is never assume that we know our benefits, because the fact of the matter is we don't. And
Yep.
I am a veteran myself. That's why I say we.
Yeah. I was just going to say, your history, right? You've got a history of service, so thank you for the service that you've done, and I know you have a heart, man, for veterans, and that's part of why you and I kind of linked up. Obviously we know each other online and got to know each other from that, but in getting to know Brad, one of the things that really stood out to me was the heart you have for vets, right? And obviously he's a mortgage guy, and that's how he feeds his family and provides for his family. Doing VA loans and stuff like that is a great tool. And that's kind of the area you've chosen to specialize in. You don't try to do all things for all people.
Correct. Yeah, I decided a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago. I say a long time ago. I haven't been a loan officer that long, but I knew that there was a need for somebody that speaks military, can speak mortgages, can speak VA. And there's a lot of things that get lost in translation throughout this whole process, and I fell victim to it too. So if I can be an advocate for my brothers in arms, I'm going to do it.
Yep, and that's a large part of why you and I got together. Is Brad is going to start a podcast that's aimed towards helping vets to understand, some of the resources that are out there for them. Just a bunch of different things, aimed towards veterans. So that's something that I know you're hoping to start relatively soon. And I had some experience in doing some podcasting, so I wanted to make sure I had the opportunity to help him get that thing up and launched. And, just kind of help you further your mission, right, of getting out there and helping vets to understand that, there's a lot of resources that are out there. Like you said, don't assume that you guys know what's out there, right?
Correct. And, part of that 1% fee, we get I recall from day one of boot camp, you will open up a bank account with this bank, that bank,
Yeah.
So we think that they're friendly and they're...
I'm glad you said that because, you and I both know, right? Having done this as long as we have, there are some lenders out there that claim to specialize in loans to veterans, right?
Correct.
We won't mention their specific names, but there are some that do a lot of TV advertising and a lot of internet advertising. And
They spend 80% of their budget on marketing.
yeah, and I would dare say there's a couple of those. You probably have had some of the same experiences I have where we've had veterans who start out with those people and they think they're going to have something that's going to work out. And in the end, it doesn't.
No.
And then they end up usually coming to somebody like me or you who know what they're doing and actually, get them across the finish line.
Correct.
So, the benefit is working with somebody who truly is an expert at this type of lending because there's a lot of people that like to say they're an expert at different types of lending, but they really aren't. And in your case, you really have invested your career and, your time in the industry and being an expert in this area and not trying to, like I said, serve everybody and, every other type of product and everything else. You're strictly focused on VA.
Correct.
So, and I think that's a great thing, and, we need more people like you, right? I wish there were more vets that got into this field and had the same heart you did.
There's a huge benefit to it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
There is, and I, this is, the 27th year I've done this, and to me, it's always about, taking care of your clients, right? At the end of the day, obviously, we need to make a living, but first and foremost is doing what's right for our clients and making sure
Correct.
that we've done right by them, for their families and everything else, and the rest of it all follows. And I know you have the same kind of heart like I do towards the business, and so for me, that's an important part. We talked a little bit about some of these lenders out there, these big national lenders that. They do a really good job of, advertising to vets and trying to bring them in, but they do a really poor job of actually finishing, getting across the finish line for the vets.
Correct. It's even a poor job educating.
Yeah.
That's what I found too.
Yeah.
They have no idea why they need $25,000 cash at close. And I can't explain it either because it's just absurd to me because, there is no down payment with a VA home loan, right?
Yeah.
And, some of these things that the veterans are telling me, it's like, what?
Yeah. Because the people they're talking to don't know, and
Correct.
they don't have the knowledge, the depth of knowledge that you and I have in this area. And that's the other thing is like there's so many myths when it comes to VA. I know you teach a class for realtors and different professionals that are out there in the real estate industry that focuses on just VA, and it's it's a class that these agents can take to get their continuing education. But one of those pieces of that content is these myths, right?
Correct.
And there's probably a handful of those things that you break those myths on a regular basis, right? What is the biggest one? What is the biggest myth you think that's out there?
The seller has to pay the veterans fees. That's the one, the origination fee. But the VA appraisals are tougher. That's usually a pretty common one. I hear because the veteran doesn't put any money down, there's no skin in the game, therefore it's a weaker offer. Well, that's 100% false. I mean, if you can see the credit profile of a VA buyer from last year, you'll be floored. I think those are probably the top three.
Yeah, I would agree with you, because, the typical profile for a VA buyer is better than probably the average conventional buyer in many cases. Definitely better than the average FHA buyer for sure.
And the average VA loan amount blows the FHA conventional average loan amount out of the water.
Yeah. And so I think at the end of the day, if you're a veteran and you're listening to this podcast, or, maybe you have a veteran that's in your life who could benefit from some of the information or the information that Brad's going to put together in his podcast, do us a favor, pass this information on and, help get the word out so that people know that, there are different ways you can do this, right? And there are ways that are a heck of a lot better than others.
Exactly.
Yep. But, so, do me a favor, how can people reach you if somebody wants to connect with you to learn more about a VA mortgage and good stuff like that?
Call, text 616-916-9295, or you can go to my website, www.teambradStinson.com.
And that's, spell your last name.
It's team, as in fire team, T-E-A-M. Brad, my first name, B-R-A-D. Last name, Stinson, S-T-I-N-S-O-N. Sierra Tango India November, Sierra Oscar November.com.
And I wanted you to do that because I know a lot of times, we'll say our names and assume people can spell it, and they can't always do it right. And your NMLS number, because we want to be compliant.
1610351.
And I'm Dan Morales of North Point Bank. My NMLS number is 709729. Hey, man, thanks for coming in and hanging out.
And appreciate it.
Helping to share your heart for vets. And Brad's going to put a podcast out there. When I have the information where it is, I'll share that in a future episode, and I'll also come back to this episode and put it in the show notes so you guys can grab that information or subscribe to that podcast as well. But, he's got a heart, man, for vets, and, we want to get that word out there and just help people know that there's some resources and benefits that are out there, for you, and take advantage of everything, right? You deserve it. You've done, your part to protect the country and give your service, so you should take advantage of everything that is coming to you.
You've earned it.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else you want to add, man?
No, Semper Fi, brothers.
All righty, my friend. Hey, thanks for listening. Again, do us a favor, share this episode with somebody who can benefit from it. Have a good one. See ya.